Have you ever noticed that some people become the quiet place everyone runs to when life becomes heavy? When someone feels lost, they call that person. When someone feels confused, they ask that person for advice. When someone is overwhelmed, they lean on that person's calm voice. At first, it feels meaningful, even honorable, to be trusted, to be needed, to be the safe place others return to when the world feels uncertain. But what many people never talk about is the quiet emotional price that sometimes comes with that role. Because when you become everyone's safe place, sometimes you forget to ask a very simple question: who becomes the safe place for you? This is the story of a woman named Claire Bennett. Claire was the kind of person people naturally trusted. She didn't try to become that person. It simply happened over time. When Claire was in college, she was the friend people called when relationships fell apart. When coworkers felt overwhelmed at work, they would quietly stop by her desk just to talk for a few minutes. Claire had a calm way of listening. She didn't interrupt. She didn't rush people. She didn't offer dramatic advice. Instead, she simply created space for others to breathe. And strangely enough, that was often exactly what people needed. By the time Claire reached her mid-30s, something subtle had formed around her life. She had become the person everyone leaned on. Her younger sister called whenever she argued with her husband. A coworker regularly asked Claire to help solve workplace conflicts. Friends shared their fears, their heartbreak, their uncertainty about life. Claire listened to it all, and she did it willingly. Because in many ways, helping people made her feel useful. It gave her a quiet sense of purpose. There is something deeply human about being needed, but slowly, something began to change. At first, Claire barely noticed it. Her evenings started filling with long phone calls. Her weekends often turned into emotional conversations over coffee. When someone was anxious, Claire reassured them. When someone was overwhelmed, Claire helped them think things through. She became the steady voice in the middle of everyone else's storms. But over time, something unexpected happened. Claire began carrying pieces of other people's worries. After listening to a friend describe financial stress for an hour, Claire would lie awake thinking about it. After comforting her sister through another argument, Claire would feel emotionally drained long after the conversation ended. It wasn't that she regretted helping, but something about the weight of so many stories began to settle quietly inside her. There were evenings when Claire sat alone in her apartment after another long conversation and felt strangely tired, in a way that sleep didn't fix. She started noticing a quiet pattern. Everyone seemed to feel better after talking to her, but she often felt heavier afterward, like someone who had been holding many invisible bags all day. Still, Claire told herself this was simply part of being a caring person. Helping others meant carrying some emotional weight. Or at least, that's what she believed. Until one particular evening changed something. It was late on a Thursday. Claire had just returned home from work. Her phone buzzed with a message from a friend who was struggling with a difficult breakup. For almost 2 hours, Claire listened patiently while her friend described every detail. The confusion, the anger, the sadness. Claire responded with kindness and calm words, just like she always did. Eventually, the call ended. Her friend thanked her. "I always feel better after talking to you," the friend said. Claire smiled and wished her a good night. Then the apartment became quiet again. Claire sat on the couch, staring at the soft light from a nearby lamp. And for the first time in a long while, she felt something she hadn't allowed herself to notice before. Exhaustion. Not physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion. The kind that slowly builds when you spend years being strong for everyone else. That night, Claire opened her laptop and began reading an article about emotional boundaries. At first, she was simply curious, but one sentence made her pause. It said, "Some people become everyone's safe place because they were never taught that they are allowed to have limits." Claire stared at that line for a long time, because it felt strangely familiar. Growing up, Claire had always been the responsible one. When her parents argued, she tried to calm the situation. When her younger sister cried, Claire comforted her. Somewhere along the way, Claire had quietly learned a powerful habit: be the stable one, be the calm one. Be the one who carries things so others don't have to. For years, that habit had shaped her life, and it had helped many people. But now Claire began to see something she had never considered before. Being someone's safe place is beautiful, but being everyone's safe place all the time can quietly become too much for one person to carry. Over the next few weeks, Claire began observing her life more carefully. She noticed something interesting. People didn't just trust her, they depended on her emotional stability. Whenever someone felt overwhelmed, they reached for Claire, and because Claire always responded, the pattern continued. She wasn't just helping people occasionally, she had unknowingly built her life around holding emotional space for everyone else, and there was almost no space left for her own feelings. One evening, Claire met an older colleague named Robert for coffee after work. Robert had worked at the company for decades. He had a quiet, thoughtful presence. At some point during their conversation, Claire mentioned how exhausted she sometimes felt after listening to so many people's struggles. Robert nodded slowly. Then he said something that Claire never forgot. Being a safe place for others is a gift, he said. But gifts become burdens when we forget they are voluntary. Claire leaned forward slightly. Robert continued. Many kind people slowly trap themselves in a role they never consciously chose. They become the listener, the fixer, the emotional anchor for everyone around them. He paused for a moment before adding gently, but even anchors need to come up for air. That sentence stayed with Claire long after their conversation ended. Even anchors need to come up for air. For the first time, Claire began allowing herself to ask a question she had avoided for years. What would happen if she didn't always say yes? What would happen if she allowed herself to rest emotionally sometimes? At first, the idea felt uncomfortable. Claire worried that people might feel rejected or disappointed. But slowly, she began making small changes. When someone asked to talk late at night, Claire sometimes suggested another time. When a conversation became too heavy, she allowed herself to gently set limits. And something surprising happened. Most people understood. Some people even respected her more for it. But the biggest change happened inside Claire herself. For the first time in years, her mind felt quieter. She realized something important. Being a safe place for others doesn't mean sacrificing your own peace. It means offering support from a place of strength, not exhaustion. Claire still listened to people. She still cared deeply about the people in her life. But she no longer believed that she had to carry every emotional storm that passed through someone else's life. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is help someone without becoming responsible for their entire emotional world. Months later, Claire noticed something different about her days. Her conversations felt lighter, her evenings felt calmer, and when she helped someone, she no longer felt completely drained afterward, because she had finally learned something that many kind-hearted people struggle to understand. You can be a safe place for others without losing yourself in the process. And maybe that is one of the quietest lessons life teaches us. Being strong for others is admirable. Being compassionate is beautiful. But your emotional energy is not unlimited. If you spend your entire life holding everyone else together, eventually something inside you begins to wear down. So if you are someone people often lean on, someone who listens, someone who supports, someone who quietly holds space for others, remember this: your kindness matters, your presence matters, but your peace matters too. And protecting your emotional well-being is not selfish. It is necessary, because the people who bring the most calm into the world also deserve moments of calm in their own lives. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy thoughtful stories about life, growth, and the quiet lessons we often overlook, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for spending this time here. Wishing you peace, clarity, and strength on your journey.